Today's episode, Amy Thompson, all the way from the US, for a different time zone. She came here for a holiday, but I couldn't let her go without having a conversation with me. Amazing professional, 3 decades of experience in our industry. Somebody who's probably done every single role possible in the industry, from a personal trainer, and she was doing multitasking, like everybody, hustling to make a career, fell in love with the profession. Today leads IDEA as the CEO and the owner of the company. She's also the chair for World Active, an organization which is an association of global associations. The chat today was about her journey as a professional, her journey as a CEO, trends that are doing well in the US, what's the difference between the US market, the UK market, the global market, what we can learn from each other, what can personal trainers do to be successful in this ever-changing landscape of fitness, and everything in between. Thanks for doing this, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
How does it feel to be in London?
It's amazing. Second trip here, and I'm getting to see a lot more of the sites this time.
And I feel, I'm shooting a podcast in the UK. I'm an Indian, you're an American, sitting in London, doing a podcast. Most people won't understand both our accents.
That's right. But we'll make it work. But again, we're a global flavor, a universal flavor here.
Yeah, and that's World Active for you, which we'll discuss, obviously, over a period of time. How was your breakfast today?
My breakfast was exceptional. I had a proper historical English breakfast called pies and mashers. Yes, at Maisie's, which is just down the street from here, where we're recording.
Yeah, it's part of history. Maisie's is part of history.
Yeah.
Tell me what you like about it.
Well, I liked that. Well, one, I love mashed potatoes, and it's not an American gravy. It's liqueur, which is this herbal, I don't even know how to describe it. It needed a lot of salt, in my opinion. But the woman there was like, you got to try the proper. Don't ask for brown gravy at this place. So anyway, it was delicious. It's a meat pie. And the story is that was a full breakfast that people could eat in the morning, and then it would last for hours and hours and stick with you. And also it was, I think, more of a poor man's food is what she had explained to us.
I'll tell you one of the experiences I had. The first time I came to the UK about 10 years back, and somebody said, what do you like to eat? I said, I love it, full English. And we don't have, in full English in India, we don't get black pudding. So obviously they said, okay, do you want black pudding? I said, yeah, I want to try everything new. Black pudding sounds exciting. So the food came in, I started eating. And I'm almost through with my breakfast. And people started asking me, you don't like the black pudding, did you? I said, no, I did. It's pudding. I'm going to have it at the end. And people were fucking pissing their sides. He says, dude, it's not pudding. I said, why the fuck would you call it pudding? I mean, tell me something. What does pudding mean? It means a dessert, right? Oh man, it was crazy. And for the next 10 minutes, people were just looking at me as if I'm a fucking alien. But I'm not the alien. People from the UK are aliens, man. Nobody else called this shit pudding. It's actually, you know what it is, right?
I don't know.
Okay, you won't want to know. I don't want to know.
So don't eat it for dessert?
No, it's definitely not dessert. But it looks like a brownie. It actually looks like a brownie. And I thought those are nuts there. And
looks like a brownie, acts like a brownie. Does it taste like a brownie?
Nope.
Did you try it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah.
And obviously, I like it a lot now. But at the moment, when it was called a black pudding, I could fucking get my head around it. So yeah.
Yeah, I do love the beans. Beans are something unique. We don't get those at breakfast in the US. But sausage eggs, and hash browns are pretty traditional. Yeah.
So tell me, culturally, Amy, you've traveled the world. How do you find the UK compared to the US? In terms of, I'll jump straight into our industry, the fitness industry.
Well, great question. I honestly haven't visited a lot of clubs here yet, only on my second visit, so I can't speak to the experience inside of the fitness clubs, but the country and city itself is really easy to navigate. The people are incredibly friendly, as we were saying earlier, and the industry seems relatively small. Everyone knows everyone. So once we were just saying, you were introducing me to someone, and then someone I know had introduced to you to the other person. So you really are 1 degree connected to someone you need to know.
I think that's good about the UK fitness industry. Everybody knows everybody. I don't think people look at competition as a negative here. You look at somebody and look at what you can learn from them. We are typically in events where we meet with the same people, we're meeting each other, we're sharing best practices, we're doing what needs to be done to progress the industry. I had David Stocker, in the last episode, and when I was speaking with him, he speaks about saying that, man, we need to get people to start fucking moving. We need more people to get into the fitness industry, and it's good for the industry. If you're going to get people to start understanding the importance of fitness, it's going to benefit everybody. So don't see each other as competition. Look at how do we add more value to the society as an industry. And the more you do that, the better it gets. So I think that UK's nailed that really well. We all know each other. We are one WhatsApp away. People who've done so much, achieved so much in life. Dave Wright from My Zone. For what he's done in life and for the kind of person he's an absolute sweetheart. You ask him for any help, he's there. You want to soundboard something with him, he's going to talk to you. He'll tell you, okay, Samir, you can do this. I remember when I was doing the first episode of the podcast was, I just called him and said, Dave, I'm starting a podcast and I want you to be the first episode. Yeah. And he says, you come over to my house and we'll do the podcast shoot. So, that's the kind of person you are. And that's what people need to see. When you reach a level, you want to give back to people from the industry. And he is always more than happy to share practices. So I think that's something beautiful about the UK fitness industry. Amy, one of the things I don't see in the industry now at top level is people like you. There are, but there aren't too many like you. 3 decades in the industry. What got you into this?
Wow, 3 decades. 3+, yeah.
Makes you feel old, does it?
I know. Well, okay. My claim to fame is I'm a lifer in this industry, like just as a wee babe in college. I got my first job in a club and I've held nearly every position in a club, from spa to sports to, working the front desk, working as a floor trainer. But I got my start initially because I was a college athlete. I grew up in a very athletic family. I'm one of 10 kids. So we naturally competed with each other. And for those of you who don't know, that's 2 basketball teams. Like we could play 5-on-5. And we did. We were very competitive. 5 boys, 5 girls. So I was always an athlete growing up. It took me to college on a scholarship. I played basketball and then I played volleyball at the Division I level. And when I was graduating, I thought for sure I was going to, the only career paths I saw for women who wanted to also be a mother, which I knew I did, was to maybe be a basketball coach, PE teacher, and then I really had a passion for sports medicine. So I thought an athletic trainer would be a great way where I could, maybe do some rehabs and tape ankles for my athletes, whatever. That was the small vision I had for my life. And then when I graduated from college, it was then that I'd got my first certified personal trainer certificate through NSPA, for those of you who don't know what that is.
What year was that?
National Sports Professionals Association. And it was the equivalent of an NSCA, but it was on the East Coast. It was started by John Philbin, who was a strength coach and has gone on to have an amazing career. So I believe NSPA is still around, but a little lesser known than NSCA, but similar career trajectory. So I did my CPT and I did my advanced certificate there, and I got my first job as a personal trainer in an all-women's club in Chantilly, Virginia. And at the same time, mind you, I was going to sports massage therapy school. Postgraduate, I wanted to get a specialty in sports massage. And I was bartending, and I was I was working as an assistant strength coach for the same program I had just finished at the university. So with all those different perspectives, I immediately fell in love with a personal trainer's role. And I just felt that I made such a difference for those women in their lives, helping them along their journey and being a part of that, the entire process of them coming in with a goal or just to enjoy more movement or better lifestyle, or, really trying to lose some weight from their pregnancies. So many amazing women that I was able to help. And that was the moment I knew that I wanted to be a personal trainer, and I knew I could make a difference and that truly I would have an impactful career in that space. So that was what took me in this direction 30 years ago.
Wow. You mentioned that you were a Division One basketball and a basketball player and a volleyball player, right? Now, tell me, what role has athletics played in your life, and especially at leadership levels? Because sports, I believe, is probably the greatest leveler in the world. It kind of, it humbles you, and every day you have to perform every day. You can't say that I've played really well last 3 games. If you fuck up in the next 2 games, you're out, you're on the bench, right? What does that teach you, and how has that helped you in your growth as a CEO? I mean, you're now the top of an organization, which is probably the toughest place to be. A lot of people say, oh man, I want to be a CEO. I say,
are you
you
sure?
don't fucking want to be a CEO, man.
Are you sure? Athletics has taught me so many invaluable lessons. I would start with the fact that, again, I guess coming from a big family, I always had the need to compete. I love to compete. So I take competition into business a lot with myself and with my teams in a healthy, friendly way, because ultimately we're all on the same team, but we're competing with ourselves to be better, to do better. So I would say competition is the thing I learned and loved about athletics a lot. Also team camaraderie, just teamwork, being able to strive for a goal together. And especially the 2 sports I played in team sports, ultimately you have to have the help support of those around you, or you can't win. You can't achieve your goals. So I always knew, again, coming from a big family, that was natural for me, but team sports I bring into business to know that you need communication, you need camaraderie, you need everyone to play their role so that you can move the ball up the court, if you will, and score. And then I always look for athletes when I'm hiring. And the reason is because they bring tenacity and they bring grit, and they know that at the end of the day, I think a lot of athletes treat business like sport, in that you are achieving goals together, but at the end of the day, they are able to walk away from it and know that it doesn't define them as a person, because I think athletes have a really strong character in nature, and they know that sport is sport, business is business, but character and being humble and being a good person is first and foremost. So those are just a few of the lessons I've learned from being an athlete.
Yeah, I think mindset is very important. So one of the things I look for when I'm hiring for people, like you said, you look for athletes. One of them obviously is athletes. I look for people who come from armed forces. I also look for people who are in good shape. It's not for the reason that we are in this industry and you should look the part. That's one bit of it. But that's probably like I call the iceberg effect. It's probably the 10% of the thing. The 90% of it is you get in shape by being disciplined.
Yes.
Right. It takes ages to do that. I remember the first time, you met Jake, obviously. The first time I met Jake and, we were discussing, I said, this guy is, doing a sales job, he's traveling, doing whatever doing, but he always keeps in shape. And I just, had a conversation with him, and he said, what, come what may, I will, if it means I have to be on the air bike for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I'll do it. But I've had 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, or whatever I've had. But that discipline is important. And I think that teaches you a lot. Come what may, I would go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with being motivated. It's to do with the fact that you have to have a schedule, you have to have that rigor to do this, and you have to have the perseverance. If you can take that in your business life, you can do really well. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And I think building the right team is the toughest part of being a leader.
Yes.
So as a leader of IDEA, you move from, being a CEO of the company to being the owner of the company. How did that change the entire, because that would have changed perspective completely. We thought CEO was difficult. Fuck me. Being an owner is like, oh,
yeah,
that hurts.
Well, so I wasn't even CEO prior to buying. I was a VP. So I was running, IDEA was part of a private equity group that had a portfolio of 40 plus brands. Now, all of those brands had different leaders called VPs, and all of those brands were predominantly media companies and B2C companies. So IDEA was truly an outlier in our portfolio. And when they acquired us, I was leading the organization. And I really was the only one from the fitness and wellness industry in the entire organization. I'm the only one who had grown up being a member of IDEA because I joined IDEA in 1997 when I moved to California. I have been a member for my entire career, so I had the perspective of being a member as well. And no one in the organization really understood our mission, who we were, what we were for. And so they were trying to run us like their other companies. And it just, there was friction. And then the pandemic happened. So, but back to your question, I went from being a VP of a company to then being the owner and CEO in 8 weeks. So there was no chance for me to adapt, to figure out, okay, well, I was still acting and moving the business like a VP. And it took me this is my 3rd year. I'd say I'm still learning like how to be a CEO and to truly lead the vision of the organization versus being the doer. And then we're a small, nimble company now and a privately held company. So I also have to be a doer and a CEO. But that was probably the biggest change, was going from VP to CEO and trying to understand how, the buck stops here.
Yeah.
You're the one driving. I don't have anyone to run to get support or to have that camaraderie. The team's around me, like I said. So I rely really heavily on my teammates around me, and they're all really fantastic. They've been through this entire journey with me, dating back to when I first stepped in as VP. All through the pandemic. It's just been a crazy ride.
How long back was
So 2019, July of 2019, I was hired to be the VP and lead the company. And then 6 months later, the pandemic ensued. And this is a fun story. I was brought in to build culture in the office. And these California employees don't like to come to work. They like to work remotely. So Amy, can you get everyone to come back to the office and be part of this team and rebuild the team? The culture in California very much was to work remotely before the pandemic.
Give me the postcode. I'm going to put a gym there.
Yes. It has a full gym in it. We had a full gym in my office.
And then that still didn't motivate people to come in there.
Yes. I mean, our employees would work out, the ones that did come. So our entire service team had to be there, of course. And there were certain jobs that needed to be there. But by and large, a lot of people like to work from home on Fridays or Mondays. So I was having burrito Fridays. I was trying to bring people in the office, and then the pandemic happened. And today we are a completely remote company. We've let go of that real estate, which we truly didn't need. My employees are all global, and we don't have a storefront. We don't have people coming to see us on a regular basis. So now we are 100% remote global company.
And are you comfortable with that?
Again, from a leadership standpoint, I think all of us struggled to figure out, how do I lead virtually? How do I lead through a screen versus face to face? Because my leadership style, I lean on my soft skills a lot. And I truly lead with empathy, and I lead with truly understanding the person in front of me. But I lean on all of my senses, I would say, and working with people through a screen and truly trying to understand your employees' needs and their goals and articulate your deliverables and everything took a while to get used to. But I do love working remotely now, and I think all of my employees do too.
Our employees will obviously love that.
Yes.
There's no way in the world I'm going to go remote in what I do. Obviously, we can't because we're running a gym. But having said that, I think you miss out a lot of things when you're remote, like the culture bit of it. You can't get the same energy, like you said, when you're watching somebody through the screen. When it's required, like if I have a team member who's in India, which I have, and I have a team member in the UAE, which I have, I would probably, it makes sense. But if you're in the same city, same part of the country, I would think you can be a lot more productive if you're all together, because you're building, like you said, camaraderie, like sports, right? When you're together, I think the energy is something else. I prefer to, I would say I'm old school in that. Amy, one of the things that, I always want to ask people who are at your level and who are doing what you're doing, do you think a founder should be a CEO, or the CEO and the owner should be the same person? Do you think you have an arm's length distance with each other? Because I personally feel both of them have to be doing different things. But I'm and this is an open question. This is actually I don't know an answer to this.
Yeah. So I'm not a founder of Idea, but I have founded my own yoga studio. I used to own a brick and mortar studio, and I have owned other businesses. So I think at some point a founder needs to recognize when it's time to step back and let others take the business forward.
But you're an owner, so there is.
Yes.
So I say an owner and a CEO.
Owner as the same. Okay.
Yeah. So owner, I would say founder, owner. I mean, if you're the owner of the place and you're also the CEO, at a scale, is that the right model? What do you think?
I think, again, it depends on the maturity of your business and the needs of your business. Initially, it's probably wise so that you can really build the business, scale the business to a certain level. But when it reaches a certain point, you'll need to be wise enough to know when it is time to step back and have others lead the path forward. And truly, a lot of founders might just get in the way because they get maybe blinded as to what truly the business can become. And that's where bringing in a really knowledgeable and visionary CEO can help to scale and grow the business beyond the founder's imagination.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's a balance. At what stage? I try to draw a parallel in my mind, and this is just my thought process. I try to draw a parallel between, if you have a child, you have a choice of sending him to the best school or do homeschooling. Okay, you can probably get away with homeschooling.
Yes.
You can do that. But now you're saying, okay, my son can go to Stanford versus no, I'm going to fucking teach him at home. So at that stage of you need to recognize what's the stage that is going to Stanford versus when can you keep him. So when you grow an organization beyond a particular size and you think you can do something better, and the organization needs to be compartmentalized in different places and you have subject matter experts, then probably you can you can get somebody else. But I mean, that's a discussion. I always talk to myself about these things. It's very, very important how to scale an organization.
Well, again, thinking about parents and parenthood, if you and sport at some age, your children are going to start to push back and say to you, I can't listen to you anymore, mommy. I need to listen to my coach or I'm not going to play. And I think that's a good analogy for business, and what you're articulating is at some point you have to be able to recognize when to step back and let go, and recognize that if you want that business to truly thrive, then maybe you need to bring other stakeholders to the table and take a back seat and let it thrive. Or if you want it to continue to be same, then, but again, that depends on the owner's goals for the brand.
So what's your vision for Idea? As a
I knew you were going to flip it on me.
Obviously, that's my job.
I knew it was coming. So right now, again, third year of ownership. This business has already been through private equity twice. It's been with its original founders. It was with them for 35 years.
Wow.
So now it's back to being a privately held, family-owned business. But truly, I recognize that the opportunity for Idea Health and Fitness Association is so much bigger than I can take it alone. And so for me, I am looking for the right partners that would help me to be able to scale and grow, whether that's bringing in a CEO to run the company, or whether that is, again, acquiring or partnering with the right brands that would truly help us to not only thrive, but continue our mission. And that's what's most important to me, is that Idea is a platform for fitness professionals to help others with their business and to succeed in the industry. So truly, we are a platform for everyone, and we work with all certifying agencies, and we work with all businesses that want to put their product on a trainer, in a trainer, on a FitPro, in their mouth, in their body, in their clients' bodies. Like, we are a brand that needs to survive and live on, so we can support all those fitness professionals and brands and agencies.
So Amy, for people who don't know what Idea does, let's give us a 30,000 foot above the sea level kind of a view of what Idea does.
Okay, so we are, again, 43 years old. We are an association for fitness professionals, wellness, nutrition, personal trainers, strength coaches, any professional in the fitness and wellness industry, as well as owners, club and studio owners and operators. And what we provide for those individuals is we provide continuing education, business resources. We've just launched a mentorship, which I'd love to tell you more about. It's a truly first of its kind. We produce Idea World, which is our industry's largest event for fitness professionals. And we are producing Idea Fitness Journal, so we still have a digital publication. And any fitness professional can get their continuing education credits through our organization, no matter who you're certified with. Because we don't certify, we support every professional by pointing them to certification and supporting them by helping them stay in the industry and have wildly successful careers. How's that? Was that a good helicopter view?
Absolutely, it was. Now, so you're not like an IHRSA.
No.
You're more ingrained in the industry. I see IHRSA more as a lobbying organization.
Correct.
And so is there a space for an idea and an IHRSA? And how do you think, so if I were to draw a Venn diagram between IHRSA and idea, where do you think they overlap?
So we do similar things in the space, meaning they also have a digital publication, they also have an event, they also have a membership, and they also produce some content. Where we differ is primarily the people that we serve. Idea is truly, our sweet spot is with the coaches, with the professionals, with the practitioners. We are serving the people who are at the very heart of those IHRSA owners' businesses.
Yeah, I call them the building blocks of our industry.
Yes,
like
100%.
You can throw away all the fucking gym kit that you have in the world. I mean, Jake will hate me for saying this because we run an equipment company, but I'm saying it's the coaches that make the difference.
Yeah.
It's the people. We are completely a people-driven industry. You get a good coach, just get the coach to get 10 people in a field with no equipment, they will still do a good job of it. And you can have a dog shit coach in a completely well-equipped gym and he won't be able to do anything with the members.
Yep.
So it's all about people, I understand. So
about
what does our IHRSA do then for its members? And obviously the members are bigger gym chains, but what do they do for the building blocks, people of the industry?
Well, they're lobbying. So they're advocating for our industry in DC. IDEA is not doing that. However, we will support initiatives if they support our members. So if there's something that would be in support of our fitness professionals, their role, their pay, their benefits, keeping their operators in business, then for sure we're going to support those initiatives. Where we also overlap is that our association serves club and studio operators, VPs, general managers. We're producing a massive amount of content, which IHRSA is not. We are producing, we have over 900 online courses for continuing education, most of which are CEC certified by over 26 organizations. We also produce, we have the Idea Fitness Journal has 15,000 articles on our website. So we are king of content, but primarily there is some overlap on the business side. But a lot of our research and our articles and our subject matter experts are producing content around science and innovation and being a better coach and really helping our fitness professionals to stay in business longer.
And you spoke about the mentorship course that you started for trainers. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So to me, I mean, Idea, hopefully, if we keep this platform and this association going for years and years to come, that will be part of my legacy. But I truly believe what the industry is missing, along with collaboration, and I know we'll talk about World Active, but fitness professionals and people aspiring to be future owners, operators don't have proper guidance. And we can all say that we've looked to mentors in our careers, someone who maybe we enjoyed chatting with or who gave us good advice over a coffee or a glass of wine. But this mentorship is different in that first we have professional mentors who are being trained, who are being coached, who are more like professors in academia. They're actually going to hold people accountable to their own plan and their own goals. And then we match make them with the right mentor. They have one-on-one coaching, or they can join a cohort on a specific topic. And then they're being held accountable to their goals through this ongoing mentorship. So truly it is the first of its kind. It's formalized, it's structured, and it is there to support any professional, whether they're contemplating a career in health, fitness, and wellness, or they want to buy a club, or they want to become a franchisee. We will pair you with a mentor who can help you through that process, through those steps, and really help you to achieve success.
So is it a course that they take from you? Is it, how does it work?
Yeah, so it's for IDEA members. Our membership is very nominal. It's like anywhere from $70 to $199 a year. Our membership is incredibly affordable. And the $199 membership per year gives you unlimited CECs and access to all the content I just spoke of.
Wow.
So it's really affordable, again, for fitness professionals in mind who aren't being paid great wages in a lot of countries. So a fitness professional joins, and then they are paired with the mentor, and they do pay a fee for the coaching. These are professional coaches. They are not, it's not something that we're doing for free. And by the way, IDEA is not a not-for-profit. That's a differentiator.
I was about to come to that.
So we are a for-profit business. But we work with all the not-for-profits, and we are supporting those partner associations as well.
So these mentors are paid by you. So, and that's where you get good talent.
That's right.
So they don't do it pro bono either. So you've got
Correct.
good talent to come and teach you.
And they're getting paid, yes. So there's a level of accountability that we haven't seen before.
No, I don't know why commercialization is made out to be evil. I think, in my personal view, that's the best way of doing business. Like, I get abused for this by my friends. I'm going to say this on the podcast till I don't fucking care. I always say you should privatize NHS. And the moment I say this, everybody is fucking down my throat. No, NHS should not be privatized. And the reason I believe is because if you pay your doctors really well, right? Insurance should pay for people's medical. Have the best facilities, pay your doctors the best, pay your nurses the best. And then you'll have a ecosystem which works really well. But the way it is made out is, if it is privatized, everything is just going to fall, through the cracks, and it's going to become unaffordable. You pay for your fucking car insurance. So that piece of metal that you have standing in your garage is more important than you. Okay, that's your choice. You're making that choice. So if you can pay for car insurance, why can't you pay for your own medical insurance? And if you pay that, you get better facilities and don't have 3 months of waiting. It's better. And so coming back to what you said about IDEA, I think when you get good, if I want, there are some awesome mentors you can get. They're expensive, and and they are good, hence they're expensive. It's basic economics 101, demand supply. There's a huge demand for, good mentors, so that they don't have enough time, they charge you more. And if you can get them for people by being a part of this, man, it's absolutely amazing. So one of the things, Amy, you're not launched in the UK, have you? Is IDEA in?
Oh yeah, we have lots of members in the UK.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And as trainers?
Yes, personal trainers, strength coaches, group X instructors, nutritionists. Yes.
So tell me, what's the total? I'm asking because I don't know this. How many certified trainers are in the US market? What's the total number of trainers?
Certified professionals, I would lean obviously to my friends in the certifying agencies, but we believe, the number is well over 300,000 certified professionals.
So the UK is about 27,000 people.
Yeah.
So 300,000 people.
Yeah.
And
that's
you get
all
people.
the agencies. But again, people are not maintaining their certifications at the rate they should. Things are a little more loosey-goosey in the US than they are maybe in the UK. So people might get certified, but they're not.
At least we can keep that perception up. It's all good in the UK. Everything is good. Everybody's certified. Yeah. No, nobody's doing CPDs here either. I was having a chat with Jenny, who runs Active IQ.
Yeah.
And even SimSpa is struggling with this, Tara, in terms of people not wanting to do CPDs. They feel that once they've done their personal training course, they don't need to learn.
Right.
They need to constantly be at it. It's not a one-time effort that you do. It's just a 2-month course, and most of it in the UK, I don't know how it is in the US, but most of it here is online. So, I was talking to I was talking to Justin. He used to be the CEO of Fitness First, and he said, I absolutely fucking hate online. I said, man, Thank you so much, because I get, I mean, obviously it's a very controversial view, but I don't think online certification should even be allowed. You know, I actually, I won't say I don't like it, I actually hate it, because it just puts our industry in, bad light in terms of people seeing, oh, this guy's an online course, done a 2-day course, 3-day course. And I see reps the same thing. They don't want people to do just online courses, because our industry is look and feel. If you've never trained somebody in real life and you've never got assessed, and you've just done an online course, you're not going to be a great trainer, are you? And it just shows that you're not serious about what you're doing. You would want to, you won't want to fly in a plane flown by a pilot who's just been on a fucking simulator.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in that plane, right? So why would you let a personal trainer do that for you? I think that seriousness. Now, how do you educate people as idea? Do you educate people on the importance of CPTs? Do you tell people about why it needs to be done? And it has to be, the problem is when we try to address the problem with the trainers, it's like the tail wagging the dog. You need the operators to come back and say,
yes,
that's what we 100%. Need. So how do you manage to do that with the larger operators?
So we've always been about the highest standards of education. Ideas Fitness Journal is, next to ACSM, it's together with creating the standards for our fitness professionals in our industry. So of course, we are huge advocates of continuing education throughout your career. I would say that what I was saying by being loosey-goosey is it comes down to that. It comes down to owners and operators insisting that their professionals have followed the minimal entry to our profession, and that they are doing their due diligence to check to make sure that the people they're bringing on board have followed a minimal barrier to entry to ensure the safety of their clients, to ensure the credibility of our industry. And like you said, like really thinking about the way I view online versus in person, whether it's certification or continuing ed, they're just two totally different products. Yeah. So it's just like training. You can have online training with a coach, or you can have in-person training with a coach. Very different products. Both might meet your needs at different times in your life, but they're just different products. So it's the same with learning, whether it's your primary certification or it's ongoing education. They're very different products. Will they both get you to the same level? Perhaps, maybe. Again, it depends who you're going to be working with and what you're going to be teaching and coaching. But the more specialized the needs of the clients are, the more specialized the needs of the coach are going to be. And so that's where, of course, IDEA is advocating for ongoing professionalism, ongoing learning, ongoing continuing ed. We provide in-person learning for a reason. And that's why we do IDEA World, and we do our collaborative with American College of Sports Medicine. We believe that in-person learning is critical for a professional's longevity in the space.
Oh, 100%. And I remember this conversation with Catherine, and she's done a commendable job in the UAE, right? Obviously now she's the chair for IHRSA, but I remember my first meeting with her about 7 or 8 years back. I had gone to see her in her office in the UAE. And she said, Samir, I don't fucking care about anything. I am not going to let anybody be certified here, come with a certification which is done online. If you want to operate in this market, you will have to do these many contact hours. You will have to do this assessment. And I love that. That's how leaders need to be. You don't have to be right. You have to be right. You don't have to sound right. You have to do what you think is correct. And as a leader, if you can't do that, there's no point of being a leader. So she's very clear and the UAE is not an easy market, because you got people coming from all parts of the world coming in, they've got portability. So people from India would travel with portability. People from Sri Lanka, Philippines, Jordan, all parts of the world will come in with portability. And she would say, I understand and appreciate this, but if you don't have this, I would not take it as an equivalent, because that's the standard I want to set. Yeah. And I think that at the top has to be taken. And like you said, she had to do a lot of work with gym owners and telling them the importance of that.
Right. Yeah, and we got to a certain point before the pandemic where I believe most operators were requiring a certification, but then with the pandemic, it got loosey-goosey. And again, people were worried about their bottom lines, and then there was more of a shortage of qualified fitness professionals who had to go get other jobs or retire or whatnot. So that was why I think people got a little bit lax. But I'm all for welcoming people into the industry. So if you're not certified and you're thinking about working in a club, there should be a pathway for that. And so if you think about a firefighter, for example, like, do you want someone who has not gone through the proper training to be on the fire truck to save your house or your child? No. Do you think that we could have a volunteer firefighter alongside that certified firefighter? For sure. So I'm a big advocate of having a path for volunteers, for apprentices, for interns to come on board and shadow and learn from certified coaches. But I would also say for people who are not insisting on the proper credentials in their club, they probably don't know what it entails to get certified or to earn a 4 or 6 or 8 year degree in our industry. And if they had gone through that process themselves, they might have a different respect for our profession.
Yeah. Tell me something. You are, as a fitness professional, you've been there as a personal trainer and now as a leader. You've seen all positions, like you said, within the industry. What do you see has been the biggest change in the last, say, 5 or 6 years post-COVID? The way trainers look at their own careers, because I've seen a radical shift, and how even operators see it. And how do you think we're going to counter that?
Yeah. The biggest shift that we've seen in this really was happening before the pandemic, but it was amplified quickly. And the biggest shift is that fitness professionals used to see themselves strictly as, in the US, we call it a W-2. You're an employee. They used to work for a business, and then maybe they would take a client in home, or maybe they would train someone at the park or something like that on the side. But the biggest shift now is that same professional sees themselves as my own business. They've legitimized their business so they can take more independent clients, online clients, wherever they want to train, however they want to train, whoever in the world they want to train. They're doing more of that. And they might also take a 1099 or small employment with another employer. So it was truly a mindset shift for our professionals to say, I'm either employed or I am self-employed, and now I have my own business, which opens them up to a lot more opportunity and a lot more write-offs and a lot more really truly respecting their business and building their business to serve more people. So there's pros and cons to both. I think the business operators and owners are struggling because more people maybe are working independently and reaching clients. They don't need a brick and mortar. They don't necessarily need your business. So what does that tell owners and operators? You've got to build a stronger culture. You need to offer more benefits to our professionals. They are no longer, I guess, you're not their only option, right? So
Correct.
if you want to attract top talent, you truly have to rethink your business model, your benefit package, pay better, just like we talked about, and truly respect this profession as a profession. If you're independent, you have more options than ever, and it's beautiful. So our content has shifted to teach that independent professional, how do you attract clients? How do you, I mean, it's not for everyone. Some people are better employees than they are business owners. But for those who are choosing to work independently, how can they run successful businesses? How can they optimize their ability to grow income and stay in business longer, and ultimately serve more people? And so I would just say to both camps, whatever side you're on, or if you're at a blend of both, the ultimate goal here is for professionals to serve more people, whether they serve them online, whether they serve them in a gym, whether they serve them in a park or on a boat with a goat. That's the ultimate goal. So I'm a fan of fitness professionals being very busy.
And which also means the world's getting fitter.
That's right, 100%.
So, I mean, one of the things I always have debates about, and I remember I was talking to, we were in Saudi, I was talking to Kev Yates, who currently heads Snap, about boutiques and how they do in the US versus how they do in the UK. Somehow, I have not seen too many boutiques do well in the UK market.
Interesting.
And they do very well in the US. What are the top boutiques you see? And there are some which are like international names, like of Orange Theory, we know Barry's Boot Camp. But I'm sure there are smaller players in the US market. Could you tell us how that market is panning out, the boutique market?
Yeah, so the boutiques are winning because they're providing high touch, high quality. They are very community centric. And again, when you talk about culture, that's where they win, hands down. It's all of those things combined, where the customer truly feels like an extension of the family, and they feel like a lot of them are also technologically advanced. They've gotten technology ingrained into their checkout process, into their communications with every member. So there are multiple touch points to make that person feel like an extension of that brand, whether they're in this facility or not. So I think that's really where boutiques are winning, whether they're privately owned or whether they're a franchise or a large club, large chain, is that they are the ones that are doing really well are providing that community and connection.
Which obviously budget gyms and the big box, lack. I one of my friend runs a cycling studio called Ride in Manchester and Leeds. They are absolutely hammered, busy. Boutiques don't do well, but these two places are just killing it. And like you said, and you should see the staff and the way they manage the staff.
Yes.
Their staff believes that they own the studio and not the owner.
Yeah.
So they would go out of the way to do it, and they've been able to build that community bit. What are the brands who are doing very well in the US market? You think in this space?
Yeah.
Do you know some brands we can look up to, or you think are coming up with something which you think can be the next big global player?
Yeah, well, and in some cases, those employees are owners, and that's truly, they have stake, they have skin in the game. The owner-operator model is kind of taking off, where people truly do have equity in the business's success. So I think that's something for owners to consider. If you, like we talked about earlier, if you're ready to become a stand back, hands-off owner, that's a great way to grow, is to offer your people, your GMs, your operators, stake in the growth and success of the brand. Well, I live in the Southern California market, predominantly San Diego. So in our market, I'm in love with a brand called Choose. I think they're doing culture really, really well. It's
Choose as in
CHUZE. They are a high volume, low cost model, but they run very, very clean clubs. The culture is what you would see in a small boutique. They are trained really well from the very beginning to just be generous with their members and to provide a 5-star service with a one-star dollar or a $1, right? It's like very low cost, but very high service, high quality, clean, and culture.
How they manage that at that price point?
Training. And they have a big footprint now. So I forget how many locations they're at now, but they're growing, and they have just, their hiring and recruiting process is phenomenal. They take their time, they hire meticulously, and then they train their people how to take good care of their customers. So I think they're doing really well. They're more of, again, a larger footprint club, a club chain, but high volume, low cost. And then, of course, the Lifetimes. Lifetime is coming to Idea World this year. They're growing. I think they're at 180 plus units in the US.
Wow.
And they are very big footprint, high service, clubs, family clubs. They've got every amenity. They now have workspace sites in their clubs where people are staying all day long at their club, working. Basically, it's truly a second home, maybe a first home. They might spend more time there than their actual home. So those are just two brands that I'm really familiar with that I think are doing a great job with service, with retention, and with professionalism.
Amy, what do you think is the role of social media today? And I want to talk more about the online influencers, right? Who may not be certified trainers.
Yes.
They look the part.
Yeah.
And you see all sorts of shit online, which is incorrect, inaccurate, but people are following them.
Yeah.
What's your view on that? And how do you think as an industry we can, because it's giving bad name to the industry eventually. So how do you think we manage this?
Yeah. So I'm chuckling because on one hand, again, I'm a fan that that they're promoting health, wellness, and fitness. So again, they're going to attract people who are interested, who are maybe on the fence about starting a program. And maybe those individuals might start something small with that professional, and hopefully it's safe. Hopefully they're not getting hurt. But we are obviously two things. We're teaching those influencers the proper pathway to get accredited, to get proper education in our space, so they are giving good advice. I would love nothing more than those professionals to carry credentials and be certified and or get a degree, or if this is your passion, turn it into a profession. Don't just be a hobbyist. Go get the right credential. But then conversely, like, we're teaching our fitness professionals who do have the degrees, who do have the credentials, how to be more effective in social media, so they too can have followings. So this year, on my podcast, I've been interviewing a lot of those professionals who do have these amazing credentials and huge followings, and kind of learning their secrets and how they're making that leap. And a lot of them have had to really shift their mindset to be, you either have to devote several hours to it a week, or you need to hire people to help you, because it is, as you know, to produce anything is a lot to undertake. So the ones who are doing it well have a high level of production. They're putting out a lot of content, and they are, many of them are doctor levels of education. And so they're putting out top quality stuff and really drawing people back into quality education. So that's two-pronged attack. We're encouraging those who are not certified to take the proper path, take that leap, take that step. You don't want to be the cop with a siren, but you don't have a badge. Again, I'll go back to those professions. But you also, those people who do have the proper credentials, you need to get in the game, because we have marketing for IDEA. You have marketing for your business. The marketing landscape has totally changed, again, in the last 5 to 6 years. Absolutely. Of what works. Emails aren't working. The other traditional ways we used to send magazines, we used to send mailers, those don't work anymore. That's not how you reach your future clients. And the next generation is in social media. So for a brand like me who wants to attract the next generation, we have to have a big social media footprint. And so again, we're bringing those fitness professionals and independent businesses with us and teaching them how to reach more people the right way.
Content consumption has changed. Oh man, I just can't get my head around it. I was thinking to myself, I think 2 days back, I was talking to somebody, and I said, I remember when I was in university, internet cafes were a big thing. So you would go and pay, and internet was expensive that time, and you would go to an internet cafe and you would browse the web.
The dial-ups, yeah.
No fucker is reading online now. Everybody wants short form content.
Yes.
You make a reel, it's too long. How long is it? 7 seconds. The fuck are you talking about? 7 seconds is too long. Like, people just don't have that span of attention. Like, 7 seconds reel is, man, people will move on. So this flipping of the thumb is so difficult to nail content now. It's just almost impossible. And so I was reading about the Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett. They say that for every thumbnail that he does a ad campaign for thumbnails to see which one will get the maximum clicks. So he'll do a campaign on Facebook to know which will have the best click-through rate, and then that'll go on YouTube. Fuck, man, that's crazy.
It's a lot.
And so how do you learn this? Is it just, how do you keep on top of it? Is so difficult. People will just drop the ball, and you have to be at it consistently. This is something that people who are online have nailed. Now, and look at the trainer. So the guy was a really good trainer. Yeah. He knows he's fucking jumping on top of the roof. Nobody's looking at the roofs now. They're looking at the phone. Everything is right there on this. Yeah. And because it's there on this, you've got so much competition. The entire world is trying to sell you something on this fucking screen.
That's true.
So how do you make sure that you show up and somebody doesn't? That's a training in itself.
It is. And it's challenging again. And right, how does the consumer know this one from this one when they're just looking at flashy or the personality or the first 3 seconds if it jumps out to them? Well, we've researched this quite a lot in terms of how do we reformat our quality science backed content to be able to advertise it. And so we've had to break our content, our just one article would have to be broken into, of course, little bit-sized pieces, little videos, just to get people to click through to learn more, to then take the course. And we're teaching all of our content providers, while it has to meet the continuing education standards, we have to kind of think of it differently, put it into smaller chapters, more video, less talking, flash to demonstrations throughout the presentation. So we're really teaching our content producers and providers how to put together their content in a way that learners want to consume it.
Yeah.
And how do you advertise it beyond that? So it's one thing to be able to produce it, but then you've got to advertise it. To your point, is like how do you get people to click?
Creating content and dissemination of content are two different animals.
Yes, totally.
Fucking different breeds, different planet. You can create very good content and nobody sees it. There's no point.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for some of the professionals who don't understand this and they're still stuck to what they're doing, and they need to upskill themselves. If they don't, most of these trainers who are not online or don't understand it, they've just lost the plot. And it's not difficult. You need to be there consistently, learn. People try to say that, I want to learn the algorithm. There's no such thing as learning the algorithm. It keeps changing, keeps evolving. You need to keep evolving, and that's the way to go. Amy, you recently co-authored a book.
I did.
Right? And Lead Like a Woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. What made you do this?
Well, so the author of that series, she's written several different books. The one I was invited to write for is called Grateful. And the author and all the other co-authors in the book are all entrepreneurial women who I've been learning from and growing with, and who I've done some masterminds with. So I've always wanted to write a book, and I've been part of other books, but not my own chapter, and definitely not my own book. So this was my goal for myself for 2025.
Nice.
Was to be part of this collaborative, and it really gave me a chance to step back from my leadership style and to really think about how I have weaved gratitude into my leadership and how that has become one of my, what I call superpowers as a leader, is that I lead from a grateful, humble place. You talked about humility earlier, but also to be effective by leading with gratitude. And so in the chapter, I write about the story of stepping into ownership, the story of becoming a CEO for the first time, and the story of truly how leaders can lead with gratitude and be effective.
And being the chair of World Active.
And being the chair of World Active, which is
the
in
last
there
time we
too.
met was in Germany when you got elected as the chair for
That's right.
World Active. And that's a difficult place to be. I think a lot of people don't know what World Active is doing. It's a difficult, it's very difficult to get all the entire world on the same platform to talk the same language. Everybody's doing things their own way, completely compartmentalized. There are some good things in the US, some in the UK, Asian markets, Australia, and for the last 3 years we've been trying to nail this. Can you tell me, what does World Active do? And where do you see this organization going as the leader, as the chair of World Active at the moment?
I would love to. And you are also a council member, I might add, and have been with this project from the very beginning. So World Active came about during the pandemic, and it was really a result of all of us realizing that we were just on completely different planets. Nobody was talking to anyone. World Health Organization did not know who to look to for our sector of the industry, yet they knew that we are a powerful player and that they needed to have us with a seat at the table, but they did not know who to look to. So World Active came about with truly the intent of unifying us globally as a sector by bringing together all of the associations on every single continent. So we quickly organized ourselves with our mission, our guiding principles, all of our charter. We had all of that done. We have 52 associations globally that are part of this initiative. And then the last year has probably been the most difficult, to be honest, because Since that time we met at FIBO, we have been focused on formalizing the organization. So I'm proud to say today that that is now done. World Active is a formal entity, and now we can start acting against our goals and start with really having a true membership, getting organizations on board to further our initiatives. And so that's what I'm excited about now, is that, we spoke about collaboration earlier, and that is what World Active is about. It's about all of us as global associations finally coming together to further our industry and to work hand in hand with the World Health Organization to get more people moving and active.
What's been the biggest challenge in getting all of us together? What do you, and again, you've been from the beginning. What's been the biggest challenge, and why should somebody who's not a part of World Active now be a part of this organization?
The hardest part is getting people on every time zone onto phone calls. Let's be honest. Someone's always waking up at 3 a.m.
And if Richard is listening, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Oh man, we get abused by him all the time.
I know. Well, and even I'm on Pacific Standard Time, so I too get shafted sometimes. But that's been the hardest part, truly, is you want every single person on every call, but sometimes it's not optimal for their time zone. So that's been the biggest challenge. But other than that, and obviously getting us formalized, but other than that, everybody has been on the same page about our 4 different working groups that we're focused on, furthering the roles in our profession, furthering our communications and messaging, really, again, uniting our marketing departments. So we're putting out similar messaging. And then you had asked another question, most difficult, and
why should somebody join?
Why should someone join? There is a place for everyone. So whether you are an association organization, yes, there's a place for you. But if you are work for a supplier who supplies our industry, if you are an avid member of our, like my audience, the professionals, fitness professionals, then we have a place where you can get involved and further the mission as well. So I would say, watch for communications coming. Follow me, follow Samir, follow World Active. The next year is going to bring growth, and you're going to start to see, hopefully, us all align, and that people will come together and share in our same mission.
Yeah, because I think all countries are at different stages in life. You can learn from people who've done this before. Like I was recently speaking with Barry. Australia is in a different place in fitness. America is in a different place in fitness, and the UK is in a different place. And India is extremely underpenetrated. There is so much you can learn, and you can learn those in a compressed time frame. You don't have to make the same mistakes that other associations or industry has done. And obviously with this online thing coming on board, it's comfortable to have a conversation. A lot of my friends across the world, I remember, we were at one event of Romania Active. And Kent had invited us for this. And recently Kent messaged me about something. Samir, I want to just check with you about this for India. Now, some things that are so easy for me to give information about by virtue of my being in that industry, for somebody from a different country is a lot of effort. And if you have a credible voice from a particular country or a continent, and if they can give you idea around that, it's good to take that. It's absolutely good to have that voice from somebody, credible source. All those problems can be sorted if we have people talking to each other. I learned so much from people in the industry. I spent time with, David Stocker, spent time with Hugh Edward from UK Active, and just by listening to them, there are some things that you just assume they're this way. They don't necessarily need to be that way. If you can learn from them, I think that's great. So where do you see now? Next 12 months. What's your goal for World Active? Next 12 months, what's your aim?
So the next 12 months, we will be setting up the membership structure so that these organizations can be formally organized as members, right? Yeah. We will be we'll be having our annual summits. So we will be doing those in person. We'll be getting together, and we will reestablish our working groups. And the working groups have clear goals about where we want to drive the organization and our mission.
What are the working groups, if you could
tell
us?
The working groups are, we have the one that's focused on our role and our profession. So this is going to be focused on credentialing, like we've been talking a lot about. And that's all of the certifying orgs coming together, IC reps, everybody's stepping in to have conversations together. Then the other working groups, one is really on the communication. We have one that's on our on advocacy, on any of our political initiatives. They'll be focused on how do we align with the right organizations and communicate our mission and our messages. We have two more. One is
skills and workforce.
So that's the one you lead.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't forget that, can I?
Yes, skills and workforce.
I think governance is one more, if I'm not wrong.
Governance, yes. So the governance, and then the other was the communications. So those are the 4 working groups.
Yeah.
And we already have members who've committed to those working groups and those goals. So this year we'll be resetting our goals, making sure that they are in accordance with where we feel we can drive the organization in the next 12 months, and then getting all the members on board, and then creating a pathway for others who want to support our initiatives to get involved. And you made a really good point that I want to kind of double down on, is that a lot of what we'll be doing is helping people with a blueprint for success of how can you run an association, because World Active will be the coming together of associations that are running various countries. So India Active being one. I'll use, you mentioned Romania Active,
Romania
so
Active.
UK Active. These organizations might also belong to something like Europe Active, but Europe Active is also a member of World Active.
Yeah.
So the goal is that you are able to set up an association that truly supports the progress your country needs at the time it needs it, but that you have others who can help with a blueprint to get you there. Not to come in and set it up for you and take it over, which was the old model.
Yeah.
And now it's supporting from the ground up. Like, let's let India Active thrive as India Active and support the needs of the industry in that country, but World Active to support, align, and provide guidance along the way.
And do you think being a part of World Active also opens doors to getting, like a lot of associations, you remember we were speaking from somebody in Africa, and they were struggling with raising money, capital for running the association.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll be able to guide people, or World Active will be able to guide people, okay, these are the top players, because there are players who want to enter different markets.
Yes.
And typically this is funded by suppliers.
Yes.
So do you think, is that an opportunity?
Yeah, so the same way we'll be raising money for World Active, we'll be creating best practices for other associations. And for those suppliers, there would be opportunity for you to supply at the country level and as well be involved with the global level. So that's exactly what we'll be setting up in the next 12 months.
Excellent. So what's next for Amy?
What's next for Amy? Well, we run a massive event with the coming together of thousands of fitness professionals. So that happens in July each year, and it's always usually in California or Nevada. So that's coming up next. And then beyond that, I've rebuilt our entire platform, our learning management system. So we are excited to grow in business memberships. I'm adding business memberships back. So those CEOs who truly believe in benefits and supporting their staff can get their whole team on board with ideas, education, and with getting support for their fitness professionals. So there's that. I own an insurance company, so we provide liability and health insurance for fitness professionals in the US market. That's growing exponentially. And then I am also doing my own book collaboration project that will be called Inspire the World Fitness, which is our mission and our tagline. And that book will be comprised of co-authors who are our past award recipients.
Wow.
At Idea World, we give out our industry's awards for Personal Trainer of the Year, Group Instructor of the Year, Leader of the Year, and the Jack and Elaine Lalane Award recipients. So the book will be comprised with those influencers who've done really good work in our space.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Amy.
You're welcome.
Thanks for doing this today.
You're welcome. It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
And what's for lunch?
Yeah, what's for lunch?
Yes. You'll have to teach me some more proper English lunches.
So we're going for an English lunch after
No
this.
black pudding?
No black pudding. Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.